We are here with Dan Mcalexander. He is running for Troup County School Board. Dan, thank you for being with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, how about I combine that with why I'm running?
That would be great.
That'd be all right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my wife and I, now with almost 49 years, spent our entire professional lives together teaching and guiding students. We've worked with thousands of college freshmen, most of whom were public high school graduates. In that work, we've seen the weaknesses and the strengths of our public education systems. So we have worked with them for more than 40 years, trying to help all of them become successful in spite of that. That's number one. Number two, I recently served on the education task force that grew out of racial trust building. And our goal was to see that the school system became much more transparent and much more aggressive in attempts to improve what they were doing. The recent administration has been extremely open to that conversation and proactive to actions taken. And we've seen progress begun to be made. Also, so those two things in particular inspired me this time to come out of retirement, a relatively peaceful retirement, and offer myself up as a school board candidate. And but beyond that, I spent 19 years in executive positions accountable to boards, managed 8 and 9-figure budgets, oversaw thousands, probably tens of thousands of students, led hundreds of faculty and staff, and met with countless constituents. I think that particular experience would be an asset to the board as it works to support, advise, and ultimately evaluate the future superintendent. Finally, I graduated from a little high school. 95 seniors graduated in the center of Kansas, but it was a very strong public education system. My wife and my 2 daughters graduated from strong public education systems. I chose to run because I would like to ensure, working with all the board and the superintendent, that every single Troup County student has the benefit of the strongest possible education. To do that, we have really got to continue the improvements started and then do more and redouble those efforts. I think the future of our children, of our grandchildren, of future generations of the county itself depends on it. That's why I'm asking, that's why I'm running. That's why I'm asking for people to vote for me.
That's right. Well, that's right. Well, you gave us so much information right away, so that's great. I really appreciate that. So our school system, 12,300 students, over 1,900 employees, over 800 or right at 800 certified teachers, second largest employer in the county. So your background lends to helping to manage and lead this school system.
I think it contributes. What I would have to say is I have never done anything as complex as what Brian Shoemate and this board has been doing. Mm-hmm. Now, the habits are the same. The trying to balance competing interests, understanding when you're doing a budget that you have to make choices, and those choices have to be informed very carefully. All of those kinds of things, yes. Dealing with public and the constituency, yes. I just want to acknowledge the complexity of an environment with as many schools as we have, as many employees, and as many dollars. So.
Right. And so our school system, 12,300 students. We have over or roughly 800 teachers that are certified, 1,900 employees. It's the second largest employer in Troup County. So what is your relevant work experience that makes you qualified to help lead the school system?
Well, I would be hesitant to ever say you can be qualified for anything particularly that large. I've worked mostly at smaller institutions. I think when I left Belmont University, it was about 5,000 students. But the habits of mind and the habits of thought and of working with people are very much the same. For instance, you've got to exercise careful judgment when balancing competing interests. Everybody always needs the most money, and you've got to decide what's going to be most effective, what's going to move you forward, and you have to make choices. And not everybody's always happy with those choices. Not teachers, not staff members, not parents or students, but you have to really think through carefully and base it on research how to do that. I think I have the habits of mind for that.
Okay. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing our school system now?
Well, clearly, I think our test scores must come up, and getting them to come up in such a wide disparity of wealth in the town, of access to essential services, of housing. All of you understand that one.
Right.
All of those things contribute to difficulties in getting where you want to go. So I think the biggest challenge is addressing exactly where we are at this time and understanding it completely. Not having unrealistic expectations, but having high expectations.
Okay. And I believe strongly that this school board election is very important. Our past administration and board has made progress, but we need to see more progress. And the future of Troup County is in our youth. And it is making sure that our youth are reaching their full potential. That's our next generation. That's where this community is going to be in 15 years. So if we're not investing in our school system, if we're not doing everything we can to help our youth, then we are hurting ourselves. So where do you see collaboration between the school board, Troup County government, Hogansville government, City of LaGrange, City of West Point, and the Troup County Economic Authority or LaGrange Economic Authority? Where do you see the collaboration that could be more helpful?
Well, first off, I would point to what's already happened. And certainly the development of the Think Academy, really begun by the Troup County Center for Strategic Planning, which I served on my whole time when I was working, has contributed significantly to improving results and to addressing the needs of industry and the needs of the community. We worked heavily when I was at the college through our servant scholars and many other things, working with the school system for tutoring, for a variety of other sorts of things with Circles of Troup County, doing curriculum for the children of the participants there, working with the LaGrange Housing Authority for the STAR student program. So all of those would be the kind of model we would look at to see what we could do. One of the others would be what's already been done as well, but that should be done more. My wife started with the LaGrange Symphony Orchestra long ago, the Strings Attached program, which takes orchestra strings training into the elementary schools. When Brian Shoemake agreed to take that into the school system and make it part of what the schools were about, it grew exponentially, and it's extraordinarily diverse in its reach in every possible way. We could do more of that. I don't care if it's green power, if it's coding, if it's a chess club, who knows? But when students can find something powerful, especially in the 4th and 5th grade, when they begin to realize what they really like and what they start spending their time on, if they can find that in the school and get excited about coming to school, they're going to do better in every subject across all elements of the school system. That's been proven by research over and over. Second, I would say we need to reduce activity fees. I would advocate for a study to make sure that anyone, regardless of family means, has the capacity to participate in after-school activities or in other activities during school. We need to make sure we're not eliminating the possibility. Now, Dr. Shumate has done a little bit of that by putting in the activity buses. So we eliminate the transportation barrier for students so they can get home if they stay after school.
Right.
We need to do more in terms of financial support for them.
And is there room in the budget for that?
You have to create it. My assumption is that you make choices. And we did a number of those sorts of things. We decided to create an international study program that was universal access to every freshman who came and stayed with us till their junior year at the college. That was a chunk of change.
Right. But
we thought it was important. And so I think when research tells you that this will help, you have to work hard. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying those are the kinds of things that you have to work for. Also, there's access to community support. The Callaway Foundation made it possible for the students to participate in the Strings Attached program when it came into the schools by a big donation.
That's great. Yeah.
So there's a lot of private things that can come to help as well. So you don't just settle for what you got, you keep looking.
Well, when you go out and ask.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like that you're a proponent of the school system accepting involvement or help from organizations like the Strings program that would want to get involved in the school system.
Absolutely, but on the school system's terms. That is, they have state things that state regulations they've got to abide by. They've got federal regulations they have to abide by. So the school system should be approachable and be good partners. But everyone has to understand that they have things they have to do. So it has limitations.
So Dan, there has been a hot topic that's been brought before our community several times, and there's community meetings have been held about eliminating taxes, the school tax for seniors. We both know that if you eliminated the school tax for seniors right now, the school system wouldn't have enough money. But what is your position in having a plan to be able to phase out taxes for seniors? Are you opposed to a phase out, and would you support that?
Let me begin by saying first, I think the previous board under Kirk Hancock's leadership, did a really wise thing by responding to the people who most need it, those of modest incomes and with modest properties. I thought that was very wise and appropriate and helpful. I think that this current board did a wise thing by deciding to lower the millage rate overall because of the radical increase in housing prices. Those both made a great deal of sense. I think given inflation since the pandemic, that it would also be wise for the future board to revisit the issue, trying to figure out exactly, how much that's impacted the people currently getting the exemption, and whether the limits of $40,000 income, $100,000 property should be adjusted. All of that said, I do not believe that people who can should cease to contribute to the county's most important endeavor, which is educating our children. I don't believe that people like Celeste and I, who are fortunate enough to be like us, to live reasonably and comfortably in retirement, should quit supporting. They should support the school system with their taxes, just like our parents did and their parents did. I don't think we should be exempt just because we now have the time and the means to go out and have fun all the time. I think that we should continue to carry our share, and here's why. We will benefit from the community that exists with a strong school system. the graduates of Troup County Schools, many will stay here. And those students will become policemen, firemen, doctors, caregivers, nurses, you name it, community leaders, county leaders, school leaders. We will benefit by living in a place that has a better quality of life, both in terms of health and safety and happiness. Indeed, we will benefit from our investment and will leave a legacy by it.
And we do have to remember that the youth are going to be who will be taking care of both of us here in the future.
And that gets closer and closer in my eyes.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate you being with us today. I'd like for you to take a couple of minutes and tell why the public should vote for you.
Well, I think I've done that to some extent, but I am doing this because I do believe we are at an inflection point. I believe there needs to be some real experience and expertise outside of the current school system, outside of having experienced the current system, but having experienced a variety of places and of ways of doing things. I think having somebody who understands an executive role helps a board member do what the board does most: hire, support, evaluate, and compensate. You need someone who understands how all those things come together in a very complex situation with an executive that has an awful lot to do. And I think that's what I would bring to the table, plus a lifetime of commitment to education.
Well, we really appreciate you being with us today and sharing your ideas, and I look forward to hearing more from you.
Well, thank you so much, Kendall.
Thank you.